You know that saying that goes, if the house is burning down and you could only grab one item? In this video, I'm going to share my favorite filmmaking gear of 2023, drawing from various categories. I'm talking about items that added the most value to my productions, the ones that I simply cannot go without. We'll take a look at cameras, lenses, and accessories. But first up, we've got lights. If I could only grab one light, the Nanlite Forza 500 Mark II bicolor would be it. I've used this light on every single production this year, and saying it's my favorite is an understatement. The 500 falls in the category of strong lights. By strong light, I mean it has the ability to emulate daylight and compete with brighter exposures, making it super useful in a variety of situations. The Forza 500 Mark II is what I would consider strong enough, because even though I have the all-incredible Nanlux Evoke 1200B, I often chose the 500 because it had enough power for most scenarios, and it's much smaller and easy to power in the field. Let's look at some examples. Whenever I shoot a scene where you can see the outside, I just know I'm going to need a strong light, because in order to not completely blow out the background, you need to compensate with a strong fill light in order to stop down or ND up. In this scene, we used the 500 on the projector to create this beam of hard light coming into the room. Exposing for the beam makes it easier to preserve the background and brings down the ambience in the room for a moodier look. In this case, I used the internal ND on the FX6, so the only way to get more light is to add more light, and the Forza 500 on a softbox and grid has enough power to motivate this window from the left and serve as the key light. I used the PowerTube 30X at a lower setting from the shadow side for a subtle fill in the face without making the image flat. Even if I didn't have an extra light shooting from the outside, a strong light enables you to compete with the harsh background and motivate the natural light, like in this example. In order to shoot from the shadow side, we can't frame the shot without seeing the outside. The only way to make this shot work is with a light strong enough to compete, and again, the 500B on a softbox does the job. In our surf film Solace, we have this scene where the surfer comes out of the water and grabs his phone from the car seat. Looking at the background, you can see the sun is already up for a few hours, but the angle it's coming from is not enough to come into the car. So basically, without a light source, there was no way to get any detail in the car. We put the Forza 500 just out of frame, shining into the front window, illuminating the car just enough to feel realistic. We powered the light with 2 V-Lock batteries, something I often do for shots in the field where getting power would be a serious hack. On a cloudy day where the light is flat, the light can be used to create more definition in the face, clearly visible in this before and after. In the ZV-E1 launch, we used the 500 this way the entire shoot. In fact, we put the ballast in a backpack with my gaffer free holding the light. We moved around so much that it would be impractical to power it with cables. The building has this massive gap at the top, so natural light is coming in only from one angle. With the 500, we were able to motivate this top light from angles that gave us more depth, but still looks natural. In this shot, my gaffer is standing behind a pillar lighting from the side, and in this frame, he's lighting from the right behind the door. Another example where we did this is in Perseverance for the heli shots. At a working airport, rigging a power cable over the runway is impossible. Here the sun was really strong, but not shining at an angle to achieve upstage lighting in the helicopter. So shining the 500 at full power from the side, we're able to motivate the sun and emulate it from an angle more flattering to achieve cinematic depth. The ability to run and gun with such a strong light is amazing. The second generation of Forza 500 has the ability to adjust green and magenta, a high-level feature that makes it stand out above other LED lights. Quite often, I run into a situation where bounce light is creating excess green or magenta. In this scenario, the entire room has a wooden finish. When the light hits the wood, it bounces extra magenta all throughout the room, so being able to adjust it more to the green side quickly fixes that. The Forza 500 II is compatible with the Nanlink mobile app, which means you can easily control it via Bluetooth. This makes it easy to get the exact exposure or Kelvin while looking at your monitor in real time. One more reason to have a strong light is because it makes it easier to bounce light, especially in tight spaces. We did this in a scene in a pawn shop, bouncing against the roof. This can serve as a key light or getting the room ambience up to compensate for other lights. I do this all the time, sometimes with the Fresnel and sometimes with the projector mount, but the intensity of the light matters, as that will depend if the bounce will be powerful enough. Here the Forza 500 is hidden behind the wall on the projector, bouncing over to the other side of the tiny kitchen. There are many situations where you can get away with just one light, and having a strong light gives you more freedom to get creative. Although it's considered a hard source, you can always make it softer with a softbox or shooting through a scrim, but the strength is where the value lies. The Forza 500 Mark II is my favorite light of 2023, and in my books, qualifies as a must-have. Item number 2, the DJI transmission. If there are 2 words to describe this system, it would be rock solid. When it first came out, I thought of it as a great solution for my gimbal, but things really took a turn once I started putting it on my handheld rigs. Directors and focus pullers on set were praising the system for its ability to keep signal with zero interference. Let me say that again. I have not had a single interference issue, and that's saying a lot. From fast-moving cars to shooting at airports, over time I realized that it's actually become a popular choice on high-level productions, especially for drone work. The latency is not the fastest out there, but it's fast enough for every project I've done, with zero complaints from my focus pullers. You now also get the standalone receiver to use with your monitor of choice, but honestly, I'm in love with the DJI display. Even if you use autofocus, this is a fantastic solution for a director's monitor and a favorite on every production. Item number 3, camera. Now you might think I'm going to say the Sony FX3 is my favorite camera, and yes, it probably is, but it's not the camera I used the most in 2023. The A7S Mark III was by far on the most productions of mine, and with the recent announcement of the long coveted firmware update, I have 2 solid reasons to put it on this list. Number 1, because of the LCD viewfinder, and number 2, because of the price. The viewfinder works incredible in terms of stability because of the extra point of contact, especially on longer lenses. On travel and adventure shoots, this is a massive benefit, especially if you don't have the luxury of rigging the camera up. From chasing Ferraris to shooting sea turtles underwater, the A7S III produces an identical image to the FX3. There are quite a few people selling the A7S IIIs second-hand, so if you love yourself a full HDMI port and dual card slots with practically zero overheating, now is a great time to pick one up. Item number 4, lens. I used a variety of 35mm lenses throughout the year, but it is for sure the focal length that I can't live without when it comes to fast loss. A 35mm is the ultimate walk-around prime because it has the ability to cover wide shots and close-ups by simply zooming with your feet. Yes, I love zoom lenses, but I always encourage beginners to start with a fixed 35 because it forces you to move around, constantly opening up new perspectives and seeing your environment in a different way. My choice of prime over a zoom is usually to get more depth of field and not because it performs better in low light. The lens I used the most in 2023 was the Sony f1.4 Zeiss model. If you watched a few of my other videos, you'll quickly notice it, but this lens was on my camera all the time. I've used the newer G Master many times, and although optically cleaner and sharper, I really like the Zeiss for its imperfections and the character that comes with it. The Zeiss model is considerably cheaper, and you might still be able to pick up some second-hand ones. It's important, however, to mention that both the 1.4s have a fair amount of focus breathing, but it only becomes an issue when you do major focus rags from the extremes. The f1.8 version, however, has virtually none, so if you're on a budget and not faced with a jump from 1.4 to 1.8, I'd say the 1.8 is also a winner. Item number 5, on-camera monitor. The Atomos Ninja V has been out since 2018, so why on earth would I put it up on this list? 3 reasons. Number 1, it works amazingly well as an on-camera monitor. It's bright and it can record externally to the SSD in a variety of codecs. Reason number 2, over the years I've used my Ninja V in some pretty extreme environments under challenging circumstances, and it never once let me down, so it's definitely reliable. Reason number 3, with the release of the newer version of the Ninja Ultra, the price has dropped significantly, and I can imagine a lot of people selling theirs secondhand to upgrade, so if you're on a budget, this could be a great alternative. Item number 6 is not exactly a piece of gear, but software I use all the time in my production process. Topaz. Now if you don't know it by now, then you're never on Instagram, because I probably get about 3 ads a day from different creators promoting this, and with good reason. It works. I first bought it with my own money at the end of 2022, and I've been using it through the year on multiple projects. It does an incredible job of upscaling old 1080 footage to 4K and 4K to 8K. I use the upscaling on images where I crop, but that is still not the main reason why I love it. Topaz has the best frame interpolation I've ever seen. Making clips slower than the frame rates they were shot at, but still getting smooth results, is a great option when you need it. From slowing down clips that were not filmed in slow-mo to making slow-mo clips even slower. It's about having options, even when the camera doesn't offer it. The fact that software can add more value to any camera is just insane, and I'm excited to see it evolve even more going forward. And that's it for my favorite products of 2023. I'd love to hear what yours are, so let me know in the comments below. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.